things tonight. I think in general we probably forced some shots around the basket. There are some plays where we need to be a little bit more physical, driving the ball. But ultimately we didn't finish very well at the rim. Some of that is the finishing itself, and some of that is the decision to even shoot. With that always comes the spacing. I don't think that our spacing helped the players that were driving the ball to make great decisions over and over again. And with all that being said, it's a 9-point game in the fourth quarter, and probably 5 switches in a row, just poorly executed. Not physical enough with the screener. Steph got 2 pocket threes that the roller started getting behind us. And we sort of broke down in that area in the fourth quarter. And then you couple that with, Steph and Clay being Steph and Clay, and they got hot and they hit a couple shots that were really hard shots. And so it ends up kind of snowballing on you. But I think ultimately the rim decisions on the offensive end probably hurt us the most. And that period of switching in the fourth quarter didn't go very well.
Taylor has been, pretty open about the fact that he's I'm learning how to do a lot of defensive stuff that I didn't know how to do before. He's not, shy about the fact that he has a huge learning curve right now. Is that, I'm just wondering, how much can you expect from a guy who's learning things, as basic as, where to put his hands when he's defending?
There's a lot that Taylor has to improve on. There's a lot that he's working on right now. In terms of what to expect, I don't think that any of those things should take away from your ability to compete as hard as you can on every play, to try to dig out 50-50 balls, to communicate and execute the coverage that we're doing. If you're supposed to switch, we need to switch. If we're trying to maintain our matchup, we need to maintain our matchup. And so I think some of those basic things you can still be accountable for. Guarding really good players in this league is a trial by fire. And so there's always going to be possessions of, he got his hand caught in, or, that's what that gather looks like when they swept through my arm. But at the end of the day, if you want to play with the bright lights on and you want to play for the NBA team, people don't feel sorry for you. It's on us to maintain that perspective with him and try to help him at practice and shoot-arounds and film sessions. But when you step on the floor, it's about not really even necessarily earning my respect. It's about earning the respect to your teammates. They think you can help them win. And I think that Taylor's incredibly professional. For a rookie, he's comes every day. He's very diligent about his work, and he knows that he has a lot to do. I appreciate that about Taylor. He's not naive to how much work there is to be done.
In the trades, you guys lost 3 kind of connecting players rather than dribble drive guys, and now you're playing more dribble drive guys in these rotations kind of as a result. Does that change players' goals in terms of what to do on the court when they're out there, or kind of how to expect when they'll get the ball back and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. All of those things have implications in terms of how the team functions on the floor. You try to take the strengths of the players that are on the court and let them play to those to a degree, and then you also ask in return that they give back 10 or 15% to the group, and maybe try a few things that are a little bit unnatural. I think I was pretty open about the fact that I don't expect for these first couple of games post-trade deadline to always be pretty, because we're going to be playing a lot of groups that we haven't seen. They're getting some reps at practice, but again, you can't simulate a game. And so I think we obviously have a lot of work to do in terms of cleaning up some of the guys' roles and trying to help them understand how they can help each other. I think it'll give people a little bit of a better idea of where the shots are going to come from. But, the dribble drive group tonight I actually thought was okay. our first group was the one that ultimately didn't play great tonight.
I guess to kind of piggyback off of that, how much more pressure is on a guy like Lowry when you kind of lose those connective guys?
I think a lot. I think, he was guarded with an incredible level of physicality tonight. They gave him a ton of attention. I actually think the fact that Jordan turned in a relatively efficient 22 points based on how he was being guarded was very impressive tonight. I mean, he was basically face guarded for the majority of the night, top locked, sent back door. They weren't letting him come off of any screen. And so, those two guys are going to have to adjust to how they're being guarded. We're going to have to adjust as a staff in terms of things that we can do to help them. And with that is going to come helping the Keontaes and the Collins and those guys recognize those differences as they're happening so that we can ultimately help the team play better. I thought there were some opportunities tonight to hit Lowry versus some switches, to hit John versus some switches, and we've worked on it some this year. It hasn't been a massive part of our identity, but based on how we were guarded tonight and how I expect to be guarded moving forward, it may become more a part of our identity.
Speaking of which, why did you move Keontae into the starting lineup?
I felt like it's time. Keontae is a big part of our program. I think that playing with Lowry and John and Walker, all three of those guys need facilitators to get them the ball, and I think that to this point in pick and roll and even some of the off-ball stuff with Lowry, I think that Keontae has been a really good facilitator on the whole. Chris knows that his role is still the same for our team. It's still going to be about playing anywhere from 17 to 20 minutes and trying to guard the best player on the floor. But I think that Keontae stepping into that role is ultimately what's best, for our team moving forward.